Temporal Shift is a third-person adventure game that uses elements of a shooter to control the main mechanic of time dilation. Temporal Shift focuses on Tom, the main character, who is actually a robot that has just become self-aware, left with only a broken world and a time-manipulating gun. The player must use their weapon to solve puzzles in order to progress through the game and explore what the world has become.
Our main mechanic, time dilation, is a bit different from how many other games approach it. Instead of being a global change, we designed it to where individual objects are affected by the dilation. For example, when a player approaches a fast-moving platform, the player can change the speed to slow down the object. Conversely, if the player approaches a slow power generator, using the time distortion ability on it would actually increase the speed in the generator, causing an action to occur. This means a different approach to designing the level, as the gameplay environment is specifically designed around these concepts. We wanted to use the time dilation effect when possible in a way that made sense to both the designer and the player.
Time dilation currently works by two different ways. The original way we had planned was by exclusively using Unreal Script, but ran into time-consuming restraints early on. With how the mechanic was scripted, we would have to create custom scripted objects that moved and slowed down without using Kismet or Matinee. We then turned our attention to creating a custom Kismet action sequence node that would allow us to use any static mesh as a target object and use Matinee to slow down and speed up the object.
For Temporal Shift, we discussed many ways we could incorporate a story based around our mechanic. We wanted a fun game that would be a bit cartoony and wanted to recreate games such as Gex, developed by Crystal Dynamics, Ratchet & Clank, developed by Insomniac Games, and Metal Arms, Glitch in the System. These games shared one concept we all agreed would help us out: exploration.
With our theme decided upon, we decided that a robot protagonist would work best as it stays away from the cliched hero. The next step was create a story that would give our robot a purpose. It was then the concept of a post-apocalyptic future that is fully automated was appealing to us. We wanted our robot to go on a journey that would take him from an industrialized city to nature. This provided us a way to create a game where the player was fighting against the game environment and would significantly cut down on the amount of work that would be needed to creating AI enemies.
A lot of the things we had to overcome were more about battling our own weaknesses as a team. Most of us had only a little scripting knowledge, and we quickly started getting into mechanics that were becoming more and more difficult, especially since we tried to stay away from extending our scripts from any UT-based classes. We also needed to create a unique looking HUD and found that the best way would be using Flash, which is something else we didn't have a lot of knowledge about. Towards the end of the project, with everyone flooding our synced folders with updates, packages, and scripts, we started to run into a problem with not everyone updating all their materials to work on the game. This would cause a loss of time and effort for some people when their work did not fully function when the game was built, and a lot of confusion. Even with all these setbacks, we were able to overcome it all and come out on top with a fully functional game.
One of the biggest problems we had early on was keeping our game concept within scope. Temporal Shift was originally going to be split into 3 separate levels: an industrial area, a forest area, and a city. But when we were not making deadlines, we cut the forest and city theme out of our scope to save time and effort. Even the current level we have now has been drastically cut down, and the player is currently only able to play in an area that is about 1/4 of the original size we had in mind. We originally wanted to implement different types of AI characters as well, but found that we didn't have the time, resources, or know-how to attempt such a large feat. Overall, with the many cutbacks we had to make with our original concept, the remaining product which we had developed and produced has turned into something we are proud of calling our own.